Welcome back to Vintage Story. Here's another good example of having plenty of berry bushes around. We can see here we have several bushes here that I've been collecting from over the last few days and putting them into the storage down in our new cellar. And some of them are flowering and will ripen at different times than others. They are a seasonal thing, but I don't think that there's actually a specific ripening time for them outside of the season. Like, you know, day 5 or whatever of a particular season. They just ripen depending on when they were planted, and here we go, we have more that will be coming through to fruit in the next few days, and we will have a lot of fruit here. Ideally, if we can, we would take the fruit that we have here and we would convert that with some porridge into food that we would store down in the cellar, and that will last, again, a significant amount of time. So I'm going to take these berries, because these have a shorter lifespan. We really want to get them into storage as rapidly as possible, because every hour counts. Now we can see here this has 3 days, and this has 9 days. If you stack on top of another stack that's got a reduced time to it, it will actually affect the overall life of the stack that you've put it on. But you can see here 19 days, 20 days, and we're getting quite a lot of fruit here now. And what I tend to do is to use one vessel for the fruit. Usually keep my spare rot in that one, because the fruit does tend to perish faster than the vegetables, as you can see. And then when we have our next vessel up here, I will be adding the vegetables into that. So it'll be grain, fruit, vegetable. And if it runs out of space, I will then repeat the process with other stuff too. So we're doing all right for food. As you can see, there's not been a mad panic. We're still in the summer, and we still have plenty of growth going on here with vegetables and grains. Once these come through for us for the end of season, we should be doing fine. The only downside to this is, as I say, the temperature of the vegetables, and I'll look deeper into it, or maybe somebody in the comments can give some advice as to whether or not there's a way of circumventing some of this, maybe with a greenhouse or some kind of growing room where you can control the heat that's going on here. But the others are doing fine. Rye isn't so good either, but again, these usually give a fairly good give back fairly well for you. We've got a fair amount of this stuff growing, and we will continue to grow and find more as we get out into the wild there. We'll bring it back and we'll expand on our garden until we can get as much growing as possible. So now we can have a quick look at how our bees are doing, and you can hear from the sound that we're pretty healthy in here now. This is why it's so good to be able to get your bees up and running early in the game with that one single skep that we collected. We've had already one of these skeps that gave, I believe it was this one here, which is now back up to a large population. But you can see here we are ready to have another one here. And we have another one here. And we also have a large population here as well, which will be ready probably within the next day or so. I'm not going to collect this just yet. I would like to be ready for it. The honey I find to not be that useful in the game, although you can use it to make jam. The wax is useful, but having to run around and make a bunch of skeps constantly, it's not always convenient. So when we're ready to start making some more lanterns, we will probably come here and start gathering these ones again, and that won't be long now to do the lanterns, because we need one for our storage area down in the cellar. Ideally we want one inside the house, and we also want one inside the workshop, but at the moment we don't have the metal to be making enough of those, so I have to find some more copper. And you can see our little house is kind of coming along now. It's looking a little cute. We've been planting trees. We've got our bushes up and running, the berries. We've got our fence line out. The walls look a bit bad at the moment, but they're slowly improving. The storage area isn't terrible. I've put a little bordering down on the pathways as well to give it a look. And we will change this at some point A little garden leading over to the lake. And over here as well, we've got our smaller flower bed, which we will remove at some point, expand on. And I think we will be expanding in this direction at some point for our husbandry, for animals and stuff. We have more water over there. And I do believe we have some animals that are wandering around in that area as well. And I'm suspicious that there may be a slightly different biome there too, where the temperature and the weather seems to be a little different. So if we have problems growing certain vegetables here, it might be possible to actually grow them over there. Odd as it sounds, it can work like that sometimes. And so while in the garden here, I'm noticing that the moisture level isn't really staying that high, even though we've placed these here. But this is also useful where we can fill up our watering can. So I'm now going around and just filling these up till the desired level. Some of the growth rates have reduced because of a lack of water. You can see here, just popping it up. And then as I run out, I can just grab from the water well there, which is it's still pretty useful to have those. So I shall leave that there. And so the remainders of our clay pots have finished now. We can pick them up. And this should keep us going for a considerable amount of time. Okay, I have to come back for those. So we will take these ones down. Grab another one of these before they despawn. And so we have one there, and I guess we can have another one here. Decide what to do with that one later. So all the empty crocks will be in the kitchen. And then as they get emptied from eating the food, we will just bring them back again. So we have more than enough pots to see us through the season, especially the winter season. And what we'll try to do at some point is to get as much vegetable and meat and cereal and fruit as we can, and have a variety of porridges, stews, and other various things that will give us a balanced diet throughout the winter. And with each one of these, 4 servings will come from one pot. And one day would see maybe 2 servings, something like that. Certainly with the settings that I have with the game, which I believe is about 75% of the regular degradation of sustenance. So I last a little bit longer than normal. The base game is a bit more brutal, probably a bit more realistic. But now that we have the workshop, we also have all these molds laying around, doing various things. And ideally what we want is some kind of storage system so that we can keep them nice and tidy. And for that we can create a vertical rack. There we go. And that's just some sticks and some planks. So we'll do a few of them, if possible. Okay, 3 should be enough for now. And I think... actually, maybe we can do 4 and we can put them over here in this storage area. Not sure that we'll need 4, but they are useful. So I can take these molds and I can just place them inside the rack. Very useful. And you can see when I hover over, see at the top of the screen, it tells me which mold I have in there. So it's not a guessing game either. You can plan your mold storage accordingly for the various tools that you need. Shovel, axe, and actually I guess I can probably keep those all together. I don't know whether it takes these. No, it doesn't take these because they're too large. But yeah, very useful. And let's see if we have any more. I don't think I made any more. Yes, I did. Crucibles, I don't think we can store in the anvil, is far too big, that particular mold, but it certainly will make up some additional space for us, which is useful. So the hammer mold can go in there. Forks blade, I guess we can have weapons up there. And the crucibles, again, we can store them on the regular shelving out of the way, which we can do, I guess, there. That'll do. That's good. In fact, we should be able to do the same with these, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, I am mistaken. What I can do, once the materials have cooled inside these molds, I can take those out and I can place the ingots onto these shelves. I'm sure I've mentioned that previously. Anyway, let's take these off the floor from here and we'll put them up and out of the way. Probably at some point I will create a nice little work area with various storage mediums. And so, looks like we've got trouble. And so there we have it. We have a nice storage area in here now for our various molds, and we've got some other things that probably will be moved. I will get better storage once we can get some chests up and running. So we now have 3 skeps that are ready with the honey. I think that's a good time to be harvesting now. This one is still finding its way. There's a very good chance we're going to get attacked here. But this is what this little thing is for. So, quick bite to eat. So let's see where we stand. Okay, I can tell you they are going to attack. Now they should attack. There you go. And they will just continue doing that until they eventually get bored and move on. It's quite adorable, really. So while they're doing that, we'll pop down and put the honey into the bucket. Excellent. I would bring the bucket with us, but normally I would just do all of these until it's complete. They really are having a go, aren't they? Now you can't kill the bees, you can't get rid of them. You just have to let them do their thing. That's my understanding anyway. And they can hurt you. Not terribly, but it can be enough to mess with you. And I'm not sure if they mess with your armor as well. It's possible. I shall see if it's possible to sneak past them so I can pop another skep up. May not be possible. There we go. Still fairly unhappy with me. But you can see it's enough to buy you some time, and we bent down barely 1 notch with that. They do seem quite bothered. I guess we can pull them back in here again. In fact, what we'll do... There we go, they burned themselves out. Okay, hopefully this one won't be the same, but we will get a skep ready. Oh no, apparently this one is also upset. I'm just going to grab all of it. I don't think they're going to kill me or anything, so... There you go, they got bored of me. And there we go. So we now have all of our honey from our bees, and we have another one on the go over there as well, which is great. The next thing we're going to be doing is making a lantern for this room. And I would also like some light inside the workshop if possible. In fact, eventually I would like to have lights on not all of the posts, because those can be done with regular torches if necessary. But in certain key areas it's nice just to have a lamppost or something. So I think over here somewhere we have some candles all ready for us, 3 of them. That's what we got from the bony soil, I believe. And so yes, I will not make them just yet. I'm going to make some additional tools, but they will be one of the next things on the job. So there we have it. We've got another harvest from our bees. And so now I'm going to make some shears. There we go. And let's have a look what else we can make here. So we don't really... Oh, the scythe is another one we want as well. Yep. Excellent. And now we can create our scythe. And the shears are just what they are. So if we take the scythe, we are actually going to require some grass. And here you go, you can see really, really fast work. And the reason we want this is because we're going to start making some thatched roofing for our house. This is also very useful for the animal husbandry when you need to feed a lot of animals, especially the pigs. No, I think it's the pigs, or it might actually be the rams, the goats. But anyway, it saves a lot of time, as you can see. Very, very useful. And now we can take our things here and we'll do some more of those. And then we can start to make our roof pieces as well, which I'm gonna have to look up on, I think. Oh no, here we go. So we want 4 of these, definitely. And I guess we'll take a bunch of those. And so there we have some roofing, and we will do that a little later on. But for now, I'm just going to carry on grabbing some grass. And so the same applies for the cattails as well. These take quite a long time to cut down with the little blade. But with this thing, we can just slice it up nice and fast. And in bunches as well. And if I go over to this cluster over here, should be able to take down most of that. Here you go. Really effective tool. Very, very useful for any kind of gathering like this, where you're in a bit of a hurry, you need a bunch of stuff. Certainly one of the better tools to get early on in the game. So the next thing I would like to do is to make some strips and bits, I think it's called. It allows us to make the hinge parts for the proper storage chests, and I think it's about time we had some decent storage here. So I don't want to waste the bronze that we've created. We have 500 units left in the previous crucible, which I've taken off the fire now. I can now store that away, and so I can take a clean one, and that now gives me the ability to make some fresh copper, which I think in the case of this is going to be far more useful. I don't want really to waste more than maybe a couple of hundred copper for making these types of units. The cassiterite or whatever it's called. And that's a little harder to find. And so by wasting the cassiterite, by wasting that stuff, you know, it will potentially disable me later on when I need to use some bronze or something like that. Yeah, this is just a very good way of having more than one type of metal ready in a crucible to do some pouring. So now that we have some copper ingots, I'm going to take this and I'm going to make these parts that we need. I'm going to do, I think, 8 nails and strips for this one. And it looks like I'm probably going to require 2 ingots. And there we go. We have now 8 bits that we can utilize for making storage chests. I'm going to have to let these cool down before I can use them. And as you can see with that one, I used 2 ingots and it was quite tricky, that one. Now the other thing that we have here are our tin bronze shears that have finally cooled down. So while we're waiting for these nail strips to finish, nails and strips, I can show you how the shears work for getting sticks down nice and quickly. So what we want to do is find a fairly bushy tree and also some regular bushes. We have a bear wandering around over there, so I'm going to try and avoid that area. We also have a wolf walking around in this area, so bit of a fine line. Let's see what we can do. Well, this is a bit of a mess here, so we can probably start with this. And you can see this is really making short work of main branches of the tree. So much like the scythe, it's very effective. Okay, made very short work of that. And I'm going to do the same with this one. Thought that was bees for a minute, but just a carcass. I'm sure there's nothing to be worried about. He says, quickly cutting the tree down. So if we look at our inventory now, we have 31 sticks. I believe we had 2 previously. So as you can see, it makes quite short work of gathering sticks within the game world, and it's very, very useful when you're in a hurry and you need to revitalize your stick supplies. which is quite common in this game. Sticks are a very, very essential part of it. So I'm going to carry on gathering some more sticks. So now that our nails and strips have cooled down significantly, it's time to make some storage boxes. And I believe all that we need to do for this is to drag a box. That's normally a bookshelf, and then if we add these, we can now have a wooden chest. And I'm going to just build all of those, so we have 8. And now we will have more storage, more effective storage as well than we'd had previously, which is very good because I'm somewhat desperate for storage space at the moment. And I think we will put one down here. And there you go, you can see we have plenty of storage space in here now. So, it's late night when I come out, and I have discovered that we now have our first proper harvest of at least the turnips. The rest still have ways to go, but we should now be able to test, firstly with the scythe here, to see if we're able to gather these in a lump. And there you go. So the quantity that we're going to get from this is not going to be as impressive. And I have just noticed one of the downsides to doing this as well. We have some stage 4 ones here that aren't quite ready. So what I'm going to do to avoid any potential disasters, further disasters, I'm going to take that off. Seems that I've also pulled up an onion. We'll leave those alone and we will pick these for now by hand. So these should be ready pretty soon. I'm going to give this a quick water. Sorry about that, little onion. Those things take a very long time, so I don't think it's really going to affect us that much. Alright, and then I guess we can place some seeds back down again with the turnips. We might get another run in. We have N, 66% we need there for that. So if I go to the seed, and you can see here on the seed, it says it needs 30 N on the nutrient consumption. So we potentially have 2 more crops that we can get from that particular soil before we have to rotate it. So let's do that. We really just want to make sure we can get as much of this stuff grown as fast as possible. We've even gained a couple of seeds in there as well from our... I'm not sure if that's because of the scythe. Possible. But you can see now we have 47 turnips, which is quite a lot of meals. And I shall now take this down into the cellar and store it. And we should see our creepy crawlies. Come on. Nothing. Okay. And so, yeah, we have 8 turnips already. 1.3 years those are good for. And this one is 28 days. And again, if I just add it to this stack, 1.3 years. So this is more than enough to sustain us for a considerable amount of days and even seasons, actually. So we have some food here. Let's grab this. Fill up our plate, and that's now empty, so we'll take that upstairs with us. And while I was out, I came across a deer, which I hunted, and we now have 12 red meat as well. So at some point soon, I will try to create a stew using this and the turnips, and if we're lucky, we'll get some other vegetables to add to that as well. Also, when I took the baskets away for the storage areas and replaced these storage areas, it left me with the reed chests. Now, I'm not going to get rid of these because, unlike the backpacks, I can convert these into traps for animals. So if I place a stick next to the basket, and it now gives me a reed basket trap. And so I can now place those down, and with some vegetables or something, I can actually trap some rabbits out in the wilds. I need to find an area where they frequent, ideally. I've not seen a lot of them around this particular location, but if I can find a good location, I will place them down, and then we should have a small but steady supply of meat coming in. And here I've also created a little bit of extra food here. I've got one serving of the red meat stew with boiled turnip. So in fact I can take this back out, fill that again, and then take it down and store it. And so now that stew is ready for 33 days. That's going to be fresh enough. This one here I need to eat within the next couple of days. I think this is the perfect opportunity to end the episode here. So thank you for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Until then, bye bye.